This is the well-known account about Lazarus and the rich man, and we learn that the ultimate justice for suffering does occur. Now, first of all, we have the final sentence in this particular parable, story, and it's interesting that we have the curtains drawn by Jesus about life after death. There are many stories about life after death that are shared by people and who've been clinically dead and come back to life. But here we have a definitive and a authentic and reliable account by the Son of God. And he gives some clear lessons about what happens to people after they pass away. Now in this story, both the rich man and Lazarus were sons of Abraham. They were in covenant with God. There was privilege, there were promises, but also there was great responsibility. Now Lazarus was laid at the gate. He didn't go there himself. He was actually put there. And I guess it was an appeal to the wealthy man to help. And sadly, the rich man didn't move a muscle, and he was put to shame because even the dogs that were considered unclean animals, they did more than he, according to Calvin, by licking his wounds, brought him some modicum of comfort. But this rich man was worse. So we can see that under the covenant, or even as human beings, you don't have to go running around looking for opportunities to serve God. These opportunities are by His providence placed before us, and often we know we have to act, and by the grace of God He grants us those opportunities to serve Him. What is very clear is that ultimate justice does occur. For all the suffering we see in the world, we may not see that justice in this life, as the wealthy man was buried in seeming peace. We don't hear about Lazarus being buried. We don't know what happened to him, but certainly the wealthy man had the luxury of a burial. So to the eyes of everyone, he seemed to have not suffered at all. But ultimately, all the suffering we see in the world, there will be a reckoning, there will be a compensation, a recompense for all that has occurred. And I think we need to arm ourselves with that thought, because it's quite overwhelming when we see so much suffering around us and wonder why, where is God, how could God allow that? Well, there is ultimate justice, there is a day of reckoning. And also it's interesting to note how Jesus almost predicts the state of his generation. He's more or less saying in a veiled way, I'm going to rise from the dead, and even then they won't believe in me. That's his generation. And so it's a very strong warning to us about the state of humanity, and if this seeming pathway that they have taken, like the wealthy man, right under his nose is his responsibility, and oblivious to that, so distracted by the things of this world and caught up in his own arrogance, that he misses the opportunity for doing what he should have done. So it really is a clear indication to us that no matter what happens, The heart of humanity is like a hard rock, and we should not be surprised that not only is the law and the prophets ignored and their fulfillment, but the gospel is often rejected. So there's a strong warning about the nature of his generation, how they would reject him even though he rose from the dead. So we need to take heart in that we have a picture from Jesus in this story that he told, A, that ultimate justice will happen, and B, that the Word of God, even though with the accompanying resurrection of Christ, uh, people's hearts are so hard, they will not be persuaded. So it's an encouragement to us not to lose heart, but to pray for the grace of God that he would have mercy on people to receive the gospel. That's what we must pray for, and not lose heart, to continue to pray and to realize what we are up against.